Hello everybody, welcome to the Wonky Angle, where I talk about electronic music, both new and old. And today I'm talking about the new album from STS9, The Universe Inside. STS9, short for Sound Tribe Sector 9, is a 5-piece band from Santa Cruz, California, or Atlanta, Georgia, depending on who you ask, consisting of Hunter Brown, Jeffrey Lerner, David Phipps, Zach Velmer, and Alana Rocklin, the latter of whom joined the band very recently to replace former bassist David Murphy. They've had a long history that stretches all the way back to 1998. And from what I can tell, are more well known for their live sets than their actual studio albums. Being the sheltered little broke guy that I am, I have yet to actually see the band perform live, but we're not actually here to discuss that. While live, they seem to be more of a jam band with lots of focus on improvising, as is the case with their earlier studio albums. As of late, their studio albums are like a different beast entirely, being the kind of stuff you really have to listen to closely to fully enjoy. I'll go down their studio album discography so far. Mostly focused around their live jam material, nothing that requires a lot of thinking to enjoy, but definitely fun. A little jazzier than the first, also pretty cool. This one's a double album done in the same style as the previous one, and while some of it runs a little too long, there's still quite a bit to enjoy here. Here's where they started to focus on more listening-heavy material. Also, this album is a freaking masterpiece, by the way. Started to move in a more electronic direction here, weirding out a lot of fans. It's a challenging album, but still definitely an interesting one. Kinda combined the electronic sounds of Peace Blaster with their earlier live jam and artifact styles. Pretty good overall. Oh yeah, almost forgot this one. Kinda more of the Peace Blaster kind of stuff. Not bad, but nothing outstanding either. Which brings us here. Needless to say, I wasn't sure what to expect this time around. STS9 felt like a completely different band with almost every successive album. Although I was pretty sure of one thing, it was most likely going to be another listening album. Ever since Artifact, STS9 have been a band that very much require your attention to fully enjoy, but they don't really grab your attention by themselves. They take a lot of dedication on the listener's part. Artifact is a prime example of this. The first few listens, it felt like a mildly pleasant, nondescript blur passing itself as a musical story, yes. But by the 10th listen or so, I was completely taken in by it, and I continue to pick up on details that I missed before. They generally need time to grow on you, I figured. I may not be super enthusiastic about their Peace Blaster and Ad Explorata albums, but I haven't yet given them the proper time to sit down with and familiarize myself with. I can already pick up they're more ambitious than my first impressions implied, but I'm not yet ready to review them. Either way, I assumed that I'd need to give this new album a good long chance to sit with me, although its actual contents were a mystery. Would a new bass player have a huge effect on the band's sound? Would they take their sound in a radical new direction, or continue to try and cement their identity? So many mysteries. So I plopped on The Universe Inside. How did it turn out? Wow, well, leave it to STS9 to throw all expectations out the window. They definitely chose the former option, and once again sound like a completely different band. On top of that, this album hardly feels like something contemplative. They haven't been this energetic since their debut. They've more or less combined the sounds found on their Peace Blaster album and the high-energy funkiness of Interplanetary Escape Vehicle, and the result is like some kind of super modernized jazz disco album. Oh, and they added vocals. A lot of vocals. Now, STS9 have brought in vocalists before. Artifact has a few tracks with actual singing on it, though even there they tend to be fairly understated. I think there's only like 3 or 4 instrumentals on this album, and they're anything but subtle. I was expecting more of a listening album, and this is really not that kind of album. That's not to say it sounds nothing like STS9 or lost its brain in favor of making dance music, though. I mean, on one hand, If you hadn't told me that there was a lineup change and they had got a new bass player, I probably wouldn't have noticed it all. Alana Rockland does a really good job here. But also, there is still definitely that old live jam sound under all the shiny disco beats. Songs like Totem and New Dawn, New Day still very much feel like jazzier material that could have been on their debut and or second album, just with some of those more modern twists. Give and Take starts out more poppy and disco-y, but eventually evolves into something more laid back, like the Ad Explorata kind of material. And of course we can't forget Elsewhere, a laid-back instrumental that could have fit alongside the Artifacts lineup. That being said, the old sound is less obvious in some places than others, sometimes almost non-existent. It's not obvious on Sun, Moon, and Stars, for instance, which sound-wise is purely a pop disco tune, but structurally is fleshed out like an old offered schematic suggesting peace instrumental, almost passing the 8-minute barrier. I get a similar feeling out of World Go Round, although I prefer Sun, Moon, and Stars personally for being longer. But there are also a bunch of songs that almost feel like straight pop EDM songs, especially Get Loud. I don't think I'd ever hear the day when I'd hear an STS9 song that goes, "Just let the music pick you up, get loud and turn this body up," over and over. The title track is also really vocal heavy, almost kind of gospel-ish. In these cases I find myself thinking, is this actually STS9? I mean, I guess it works, but jeez, this is a pretty drastic change, isn't it? But by the same token, there are a handful of pop/disco tunes that are just really good in their own right, despite not really sounding like STS9 that much. And the main examples are Out of This World, and especially Worry No More. The latter has a couple of different pop hooks in them, and all of them stick the landing. Really an awesome and emotional song overall. And the former is not quite as complex, but it's still good fun. So, overall, I'll admit I have kind of mixed feelings on this album. The best moments on here are fantastic for sure, though I definitely found myself gravitating towards the songs that remind me more of their older stuff. Some songs are well fleshed out and have a sense of depth to them that feels more like their post-Artifact material, but others feel a little, brainless. I really don't get the feeling that this is a listening album like their last three were. It's a dance album, is what it is. I can't say I expected STS9 to go this direction, but it is definitely good for what it is. I don't know if I particularly want STS9 to continue in this direction either, though knowing them, their next album will most likely not sound anything like this anyway, so... Well, I was kind of hoping for something a little more listening intensive personally, but the STS9 catalog could definitely stand something a little more loose and upbeat. While it's no Artifact, I still overall definitely enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to whatever they plan on doing next. I'm overall feeling a 7.5 out of 10. But of course, this is just my opinion. You can feel free to disagree with it, favorites and least favorite in the description. But I would like to hear your thoughts, so leave the comments in the comment thing down there. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all for today. See you next time.